pre-Thanksgiving panel. Over here, of course, Mr. Gil Bellows. Did how many years on Ally McBeal?
3.
3. And now he's the star of The Agency, Thursdays at 10 on CBS. Don't say that. Jane Chastain, been with us many times, political commentator, writer for WorldNetDaily.com, and co-host of the Judicial Watch Report with my friends in Washington, Mr. Clayman. Okay, and Clive Cussler, welcome aboard, sir. Yep. Valhalla Rising is your newest, but you have 18 consecutive New York Times bestsellers in fiction. You must have a pile of money, sir. God bless
IRS
you.
loves me.
And I know you have a pile of money, and you deserve it.
Did you rub them?
Yes.
Monique.
Let me know.
Always the shy Monique, strobing on camera tonight. The star of The Parkers, Mondays at 9 on UPN, and she'll be on the Queens of Comedy Tour beginning next month. Give a hand to our panel. And let me start with something, a kind of a follow-up. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about diamonds because it was in the Washington Post that bin Laden launders a lot of his money through diamonds because cash is too dangerous. He's a hunted man. So it said, you know, diamonds, maybe we shouldn't get into diamonds. But this is not the only reason we shouldn't get into diamonds. I've mentioned this before. People make fun of me. Women hate me for even bringing the subject up. I'm not making it up that diamonds are a dirty business. I'm not. I promise. Primetime Live did a great expose on this. Bob Simon did it on CBS. People in Congress, Tony Hall, Democrat of Ohio, Cynthia McKinney's been on our show. Frank Wolf, representative, a Republican. Senator Judd Gregg, a conservative Republican from New Hampshire, said that buying diamonds is similar to purchasing goods from Nazi Germany. It's a very complicated situation to go into why, but let's just say that Africa, especially Central Africa, is a mess. So a lot of people, the rebels there, the corrupt governments, they fund their corrupt lives and their wars through taking over diamond mines. Just let me quote Mr. Dennis Bright. By the way, also Global Witness, World Vision, Physicians for Humanities, Amnesty International, all tried to organize a boycott. Doesn't work because women love diamonds. Okay. Dennis Bright, Commissioner for the Consolidation of Peace, said the fellow who gives a diamond ring to a lover should know that probably because of that diamond, a girl of 10 has been raped, a boy of 2 has lost a limb. People should understand that from where I stand, I have seen the horrors that have been caused because of the battle over stones. Now, I told all this to a girl recently, many women, and she said, I said, you know, kids have their arms cut off. She said, both? Yeah. If it was just one arm.
Right.
Could I? Yeah.
But, you know, that's the thing. I mean, unfortunately, what we got going on here is when you're talking about Sierra Leone or the Congo or Angola, these countries where the diamonds are coming from, they're so far away, it's very hard for people here to relate to that in any shape or form. But, you know, an interesting point a friend of mine brought up to me was when it came to ivory, when people discussed ivory, when you start worrying about elephants and whether or not they would die, people, you know, started curbing ivory use. They started making it illegal. Maybe, you know, what we should think about is just buying estate jewelry, you know, stuff that's already out there in the market as opposed to, you know, floating new diamonds. And
kind of like adopting an orphan instead of having a new child.
Bill and Bill, one thing you have to consider is that, and I agree with you that it's a problem, but approximately 15% of those diamonds are involved in this kind of trafficking and trade, and I agree with you that it's very, very wrong. The other 85% are actually, you know, mined and traded legitimately.
We don't know which are which, though.
Mine is from the 85%. I know it is.
Yeah, see, that's exactly.
I know it is. I feel that.
I just wish some of those congressmen would have the same compulsion about giving China normal trading status, or as it's now called, well, it's now called normal trading status. It used to be called most favored nation trading status. No, they're not. They're fake. Absolutely genuine fake. But no, I mean, we don't have any compulsion about loading up our market baskets with cheap Chinese goods that are made in the Chinese lagai by slaves.
Well, I think it's the irony of the fact that somebody's bestowing a gift upon somebody else with the ideal of love and commitment, and that gift is basically being given from, you know, the blood and sweat of somebody else who died for, you know,
almost everything we have, we get like that. Almost everything we have. Kathy Lee Gifford, she didn't know, but everybody else knew. They were babies making those clothes. You didn't stop buying them, did you? You kept on buying. Almost everything we have and we acquire comes from somebody's blood and sweat. I hope they're not losing limbs, but it comes that way. I'm going to tell you now, I'm not going to stop buying diamonds. I like it. Diamonds are truly a girl's best friend. And when you get married, if you're not already married, are you going to give your wife a copper ring?
Well, you might be relieved to know that Congress has been debating a bill.
Congress tried to. I mentioned the people, and you know what happened? The World Diamond Council hired the best lobbyists in Washington, and of course, when you do that, what happens? It got quashed.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened when we tried to put a cap on the foreign students that we have entering American university. Just got squashed. They were
Yeah. But when you talk about 85%, you're talking De Beers. De Beers owns, monopolizes the entire diamond trade.
Well,
and what's
close,
what's a myth. Women hate this, but realistically, you know, diamonds are a glut. Realistically, diamonds should be priced at $5 a carat. There's that much of a glut. Russia has warehouses just full of them. De Beers has them stashed all over. There's every volcanic tube has diamonds, whether they're, you know, 10 feet off the top or 1,000 feet down below. I always tell somebody, a fellow who's going to buy his fiancée a ring, I say, get an emerald or a ruby. They're 50 times more rare than a diamond.
Right. But what I think is so amazing is that women who purport to be the more sympathetic and, of course, caring about children and the downtrodden, when it comes to diamonds, they do not care. The nicest person in the world, both arms.
I can't.
Are they hacking off? Because if it's just one arm, I mean, come on, Bob Dole has one arm. He does fine. I mean, it's just not that big a problem.
I care. I mean, it's not that we don't care. I honestly care. And I would really like to think that mine does not come from that, but we really don't know.
But that's not the point.
What is the point?
Because it doesn't matter. It's the demand. First of all, they cannot tell. In the Bob Simon report, he said it's very difficult to identify a rebel diamond from a legitimate diamond. And if diamond regulators can't tell the difference, what chance does the consumer have, or will he care whether the supposed symbol of love has led to the mutilation of some nameless girl in a distant land?
But the legitimate mining
now you go enjoy your diamond.
But the legitimate mining of the other 85% of those diamonds is putting food on the tables of people that would be without if we didn't buy the diamonds.
Food on the tables of jewelers?
No, food on the tables of the people who are buying the diamonds, that all of a sudden we're going to say, we're not buying any diamonds. You know, we're going to be so moral that we're not going to buy any diamonds.
They're getting guns with the diamond. They're bartering it for guns, not food.
But not everybody
of the diamonds are used.
They're buying guns and weapons. Not everybody's doing that.
I can accept the honesty of, I don't care, I like diamonds. I can't accept this. Because that's just, it really is. It's just, you know what, I like diamonds.
If you're concerned, and you ought to be pressuring Congress to do something about it, they can require that they be mapped and certified.
People have done this. Like I said, they can't get the support of people. Because you know why? Because the people in Africa sell it to the dictatorships. They get laundered through Europe. Some guy in Ohio buys it for his girlfriend, and he gets oral sex. And you can't fight oral sex.
They can get
that's the chain that I can't get in.
What is doing this oral sex? What is that?
I'm just saying, you know, women accuse men of being mesmerized by breasts. At least breasts are real, not in Hollywood.
Given away more diamonds.
At least breasts are. You're mesmerized by diamonds to a degree we can't even relate to.
You got the support of the people on the African elephant issue. You can do it on diamonds, and you can put the pressure on Congress if you will keep talking about it.
I don't know. I mean, I think we're just going back. We're spinning around the same circle. But I think people would rather get behind an endangered animal than they would.
Because it's cute and cuddly.
Well, women don't want to wear ivory.
All right, what about all those cute
honey, you're marrying me? Thank you for that piece of ivory.
What about all those cute and cuddly stuffed animals that are made by the slaves in the Chinese law guide?
The what happened?
The cute and cuddly stuffed animals. All the stuffed animals that we're buying over here right now are made in China. We don't know which one of the animals are being made by the slaves. It's the same thing with the diamonds.
Yeah, it's not quite the same thing. China is not a pleasant place, but it's not what's going on here. And no matter how much you say it needs more study, it reminds me of what they say about marijuana and global warming. It needs more study. Needs more study. No matter how much you present the evidence, it just makes you eat cookie dough. It needs more study. We cannot change the marijuana laws. We have to study it more. Whenever you don't like what the answer is, it needs more study. Let's study.
I said you got to study a damn thing.
You just don't care. And I admire the honesty. We got to take a commercial. We'll be back. More. All right, as long as I'm here complaining tonight, I have been complaining that the government, our government, has been underestimating our ability to sacrifice. They do not ask us to sacrifice in this time of war. The most they ask us to do is spend more money. Shop till they drop. And you know what? If you read yesterday's USA Today, you would understand maybe why they do this. There was tips here on how to cope at Thanksgiving. Let me say again, unless you were directly involved with the attacks, or if you live in New York and Washington, a lot of, everybody in those cities is connected in some way. Okay, but for the rest of us, listen to these, talk with relatives about terrorism if talking is appropriate, but not everybody is ready to do that. Really, 2 months later,
That's a crock of mess.
Give yourself permission to be emotional.
I know what I wanted to say.
Maintain rituals. If you walk the dog at a certain type of day, keep doing it. Validate yourself. Practice relaxation techniques, drinking.
Or smoking.
Keep doing things that give you pleasure. This is how we win the war. Is this
too much? Are they selling those tips? Like, is that a book that's coming out?
No, this is just, I assume since it's US Today, this reflects America.
Yeah, they always want us to go out and buy stuff, it's just to keep it flowing. It doesn't make sense, really.
What would you like to see?
Yeah.
I would like to see the president get on television and say, here's what you can do, folks. Learn more. Don't be so isolated. Learn more about the Islamic world, because in the long run we have to live with them and we want to be in peace, and in the short run we have to kill some of them.
But isn't that
and get off oil, like sacrifice a little. Stop, remember when Jimmy Carter said put on a sweater and everybody went, he's a madman asking us to put on a sweater. What kind of a country is this? We have to wear a sweater. I mean, listen to this crap.
Tips for the holiday.
But Bill, this kind of thing comes out almost every year around the holidays. And I think it's because that the whole pressure in the holidays is that you got to have fun and you got to do things for yourself and you got to be jolly and merry. Every year, people lose loved ones. I mean, every year there are people that don't feel like celebrating, and the holidays are really a very difficult time for them. But, in a way, I think this is good, because I think that, like this Thanksgiving Day, that maybe we ought to go back and think about the reason we had this holiday in the first place, and that was not to give ourselves pleasure. It was to pause and reflect on the blessings that we do have.
Well, I'd like to take exception of that. Well,
That's right, nice.
Boy, you got my fire up now. Well, I'm not going to sit here and take that kind of rhetoric. Okay, I'll let you have your say.
Give him a hanky.
Well, the media beat you over the head with all this stuff. I mean, you know, you can't turn on TV or pick up a newspaper without anthrax. You know, oh, there was a teeny letter found somewhere. Pretty soon people will look in their Thanksgiving turkey for anthrax. I mean, it just gets ridiculous.
That's about the only place we haven't looked.
We haven't looked, right.
I mean, if you made it through anthrax season, and you're sitting around the Thanksgiving table, it's all gravy, people. Okay, you don't need to. I mean, this is not about. This is specifically about post 9/11. Right. This was specifically saying
it's time to move. And here's the thing: we are very sorry about 9/11. We are.
Yeah.
And yes, people lost loved ones and all that. But it's time to move on. We keep going backwards. That's a bunch of Bill. I'm sorry. Don't talk about terrorism. If it's appropriate, well, when the hell is it appropriate to talk about it? And it's like, move on. Have a good time on Thanksgiving.
If you're going to set up a guideline for the holidays, it should be about how to deal or not deal with your family. You know? I mean,
yeah.
Right.
Right. I mean,
because for most people, that's where the stress or is going to be coming from.
Just from the family.
From the
like,
family.
you know I don't like your ass. Why are you here? For real. Don't cut my turkey.
But I think this is that article and many of the ones that we've seen for the last few months are an example of how the media wants to sort of be everybody's friend and be everybody's guidance through any kind of event. And in some respects, I think the greatest thing about Thanksgiving, and you know, to build on what you were saying, is that this is a time where people get together and there's no burden of presence. It's just you sit around, you have a meal with your friends and your family, and you just you get along and you enjoy. You watch a little football, you go for a walk, you take a nap. That's a great day, you know, and it's in the middle of the week.
What do we have to cope?
Exactly.
Cope. You know, the soldiers there have to cope. The Afghanis have to. We have to cope with what? Food stuffed with other food?
But you know, in the media has every reason to keep this going because the longer they can get us focused on terrorism, the higher the ratings.
I think the media
You're right.
Before I cut the turkey, I think, you know, why did we talk about Afghanistan? You know, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, we got to take a break. We'll be back. I'm older than you. All right, while I'm angry, don't forget I'm angry about things, I wanted to bring this up. It's a story out of Wiltshire, England, but it's similar to one we covered a few months ago in the city of Temple Terrace, Florida, about someone getting fired for smoking at home. And I bring this up because it's England, but the guy from the head of the British Smokers' Rights Group said, we see this as moving towards an Americanized state of discrimination. I think it's great that we're leading the world. You know, and I couldn't help think that, you know, we're watching the Taliban fall and they prevented people from living life as they wanted to. Okay, can't smoke at home now.
Right.
You get fired. This guy thought the ban only covered the workplace, same as the guy in Florida, but he mentioned that he smoked at home and they canned him the next day because smoking is evil.
I bet those who fired him were reformed smokers.
It's always the converted zealot. Yes, you are correct.
That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. How far will he go? When will they stop? He smoked at home, not at work, right?
At home.
So what do they say? I mean, how is it going to affect him at work?
That's the point I'm making.
Yeah. Right.
I'm saying.
agreeing with you.
No, but I don't think it's a moral.
Because I am PMSing, so don't get on my bad side.
I don't think, in the case of smoking, that it is a moral issue. I think it's an economic
moral issue?
No, I think it's an economic issue.
Oh, thank God.
An economic issue.
Insurance?
Well, absolutely. In fact, the Office of Technology Assessment came up with a study that a smoker will cost his or her employer between $2,000 and $5,000 per year.
So will a
and
Twinkie eater.
These are benefits. Well, now, wait a minute. The studies have shown that if you smoke, you are, a third of the people who smoke are going to die from some kind of smoking.
Yes, they actually save insurance companies money because they die.
There are no.
They do.
There are no studies that show that a third of the people eating that Twinkie are going to die of a Twinkie.
No, they're going to cost people health problems for years and years to come.
It's the next step after that is that employers are going to want to see your medical records. And then the next step after that is that you do a DNA test.
Okay, I do agree that this is a problem, that smokers at work want to be accommodated. I think going
they want to be able to go
home
smoke
is too
on their break. It's illegal. It's their right. And until a law comes about that says you can't do that anymore, they should be allowed to do what they want to do. And that's it.
I mean,
but as long as the employer is having to foot the bill for the costs related to smoking.
But everybody does something that hurts their health.
Exactly.
To make the smokers huddle outside in that entryway like hookers on a rainy day, you know.
Just do away with employer-based insurance and the problem will go away.
I'll go with that.
It ain't going to work any better than prohibition. You know, you're going to stop them from drinking at home, too. I ain't going to stop drinking at home.
Right. We like the cocktails.
18 bestsellers. Drinking at home, folks, right here.
Half the drink.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, folks, happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to go on a limb and get on the page with Jane. Be thankful you have such a bountiful nation to defend.